Let's start with you, Chris. Chris, thanks for joining us here on the program. Give us the latest we have, though, is that the M23 Rebels have entered Bukavu. Bring us up to date on their push.
That's right, Richard. What we have learned is that M23 Rebels captured the military airport of Kavumu on Friday afternoon after intense battle with Congolese forces who were backed by a militia known as Wazalendo and troops from Burundi. Now, we're told that the M23 Rebels got a lot of reinforcement and they managed to overrun the airport. They later continued their march about 70 kilometers away to Bukavu, the capital of South Kivu province. That happened at night. We've seen pictures circulating on social media of the rebels armed to the teeth walking along the streets of Bukavu, and I spoke to residents earlier today and they said that many people are staying indoors. They're fearing to go out because the rebels are patrolling the city. And you know, this is a very, the government in the DRC, Kinshasa, has not issued any official communication about the fall of the city, but the residents on the ground are saying that's the situation, and this is a very big blow to the government because this is the second strategic city that has fallen into the hands of the rebels. And all this comes just a week after leaders from the East African community and the Southern African Development Community called for an immediate ceasefire. So the situation has deteriorated. Richard?
A big blow indeed for the Congolese government. Let's see if we can bring Nick Mundimba into this conversation. Nick, talk to us. So what has been the reaction at the AU summit regarding the M23 offensive in South Kivu and the absence of DRC president at the summit?
Absolutely, Richard. So opportune moment, and leaders were gathering in different side meetings just to try and see the way forward, because this is happening when the heads of government are all meeting here in Addis Ababa. The theme of the summit is justice and reparation, but that has been swept aside as things are looking, because now the Eastern DRC situation has been given a priority, and as late as yesterday at 3 a.m. local time, the leader was just trying to get a solution on how to approach this conflict, this invasion that has actually hit the Eastern DRC. So as of today, the meeting and of course the opening ceremony, it has been frequented. All the heads of government from Antonio Guterres, the UN Secretary, actually saying that DRC should be given a chance to sort out its own issues internally, that many external issues are coming in to affect the consistent process. And he said and insisted that this is a country that needs to sort its own issues. So Eastern DRC dominated the conversation during the opening ceremony, and that's what it is right now. And actually, as I was speaking, it's still going on behind closed doors, and I'll update you for more, Richard.
Well, we apologize for that breaking communication. We've lost Nick Mundimba there. Let's see if we can reconnect with Nick a little later. But right now, it's right back to you, Chris Ochemringa. Chris, we've talked about the M23's advancement being a big blow to the Congolese government. Talk to us about the government's response, if any, to the M23's push and the humanitarian situation there.
Well, I spoke with a government official who said that the DRC authorities, the president and his cabinet, are interested in limiting the deaths of civilians in these conflicts. That is why they have instructed their troops to withdraw from some of these areas that are densely populated. So they have described it as a tactical withdrawal to prevent a repeat of what happened in the eastern city of Goma, where more than 3,000 people were killed when the M23 rebels were fighting against government troops. And you know, the government now is doubling down on traveling for these international conferences, calling on the international community to impose sanctions on Rwanda, who they accuse of, you know, backing the M23 rebels. They have been, you know, quoting reports by the United Nations group of experts. Now, the United Nations Security Council and a number of other international organizations have been condemning this conflict and urging both sides, the DRC and Rwanda, to get to the negotiating table. Now, Congolese officials describe that in Lingala as Maloba ya Pamba. Those are empty words. What they want is action. They want sanctions imposed on Rwanda. They want aid freezes and other measures taken, because they're saying that in 2012, when the M23 rebels captured the eastern city of Goma, there was a lot of pressure that was put on Rwanda and the rebels by the United States, France and other countries. They suspended aid, and that is how the rebellion ended. But the Congolese officials are saying now they have been let down by the international community. So they're continuing, and they seem to have been making some gains. Recently, the European Parliament voted in favor of suspending a minerals deal that Rwanda had signed with the European Union about, exporting minerals critical for the green energy transition, coltan and cobalt. Congolese officials are saying those minerals are being illegally exploited in Congolese territory in areas that are controlled by the M23 rebels. So the situation is very fluid. We're waiting to see how the international community and regional blocs in Africa will try and resolve this conflict through dialogue. Richard?
The Nick Mundimba. Nick, if you can hear me, we did get the sense of what you were saying earlier, but if you could highlight and illuminate for us what is on the agenda now in terms of security and especially the conflict in the Eastern DRC at the summit.
Absolutely, Richard. So Sudan and Eastern DRC are dominating the proceedings, and the speakers, especially the head of AU Commission outgoing Musa Faki, insisted that the situation in DRC is simple to sort out, and the ego battles going around the region, the conflict region, should be dropped, because this is a battle of egos, according to the AUC chairman, outgoing chairperson Musa Faki. He says that this is a time to forget about all the troubles Africa has actually gotten in terms of colonial history, and it's time now to focus on the problems. And he urged all the leaders involved in this situation to come together, put their heads together, have a consensus on how to push ahead in unity, because the target is 2063, where Africa should go ahead and be a powerhouse in the global arena in terms of peace. And without peace, nothing can happen in terms of development, in terms of healthcare, education, and other necessities that need to steer Africa ahead. So he urged leaders, especially who are involved in this situation, to come together and reach a peaceful consensus and then drop this battle of egos. Something else is also urged the international communities, those interested in this battle, to drop it, because now he said categorically, and he actually didn't mince his words, DRC, especially Eastern DRC, is of interest to some of the Western countries, and they should actually drop it and let the countries be. Richard.
All right, Nick Mundimba, Addis Ababa, and of course Chris Ochemringa in Kinshasa. Thank you both for that.